Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's presentation. Today, we are going to talk about farming and agriculture, and more specifically about this concept. It's called vertical farming. So vertical, we have horizontal, and that's like, for example, when you are asleep, you are horizontal, it's sideways, but vertical, it goes up. And this right here, it's a very, very interesting concept that's growing right now, especially with technology, with the growth of cities and smart cities. There's less and less, there are less and less, places, where you can grow, plants, fruits and vegetables. And so we are in need of vertical solutions. Vertical farming solutions. All right, so the first things I want you to think about are the problems that we have in farming and agriculture today. Just so that you know what these mean, farming and agriculture. So farming is a little bit more general. Farming relates to the growing of crops. Crops can be, fruits, vegetables, or be plants or herbs. Crops are just, or grains. You see all of these are crops. So it's the growing of crops and the raising of livestock. Livestock are animals, that can be found typically on a farm, so, domesticated maybe animals or animals that can offer something to us. For example, cows, sheep, goats, all this is livestock. All right, so that's farming and agriculture. So there's a lot of problems. I don't know all of them. I'm not an expert here. I am just a great English teacher, trying to do my best, to help you and all of my students. So I know that farming, the soil, the land, that's a big problem nowadays because the land is not, it's getting depleted. We can't find the same nutrients in the land. Also irrigation, watering of plant, that's a big problem nowadays. We talked a couple of weeks ago about, water scarcity, and that's a big issue nowadays. It's a big issue and there's not enough water. So these are some problems. Also pests, animals and, all of these things that can happen to our crops. All right. So what kinds of operations happen on a farm on a day-to-day basis? That's a great expression. You can use it in business. On a day-to-day basis. On a day-to-day basis. So what kinds of operations? All right. So we have some students here, that might be able to answer this. What do people do every day? That's what kinds of operations. That's a great way to ask about what do you do? What kind of things does your business do? What kind of operations happen, in your business on a day-to-day basis? Okay, very professional, very high level. That's what I try to teach. I try to teach you the best, most professional language so that when you speak, especially in business, but also in your social life, people will be very impressed. People will know that you know the new, modern, and top-level English. How concerned should people be with what happens in the agriculture industry? How concerned, how worried? Now, I'm a little bit worried because it's our food, right? It's a food, it's what keeps us alive, and there are a lot of people in the world, and we want to make sure everyone has enough food. And so with a growing population, with, all the challenges we have, we do need to figure this out. Okay, so here we talked about vertical farms. Okay, that's good. Typically they're indoors, in buildings, greenhouses. We have the urban farms, also urban farms. Urban talks about cities. So we have urban farms. Okay, so that's the opposite. Okay, rural is outside of the city, it's the country. Urban refers to the city. And then we have factory farms. So we have the traditional farms where we have farmers, it's a little house on a piece of land. It's very, very beautiful. But then we have the factory farms too. Now, a lot of people are against those, especially people who are in the animal rights group. Okay, and we definitely do listen to you. And we, I mean, I'm not saying this is a good thing. You know, the factory farms, we have to be good to animals, you know, but some people say that there are some good factory farms that actually respect animal rights and all that stuff. So, you know, that is, you know, that's something that we do need to discuss. Okay, so which type of farm do you think faces criticism? If you face criticism, it means that people are criticizing you. It means that people are saying bad things about. Okay, so which ones of these three farms are maybe unethical? Not ethical, they are doing the wrong thing. And why is that? All right, so I don't want to give you too much my opinion. You can probably figure it out. Now, what kinds of benefits do you think there are to vertical and urban farming? So we talked about those. We talked about how it's in the middle of the city, so transportation costs are less. You know, also you might be able to regulate a lot of things. You know, if it's a vertical farm indoors, you can regulate the humidity, the water, the temperature, all of these things. You can also protect the crops from pests that you can't in the countryside. You know, sometimes you have animals, sometimes you have bugs, insects, you know, it's all of that. And the urban farm, it's close to the city, you know, and, you know, you can have it right there in front of you. You know, you don't have to wait weeks, you know, to get your food. And especially now with all of the supply chain issues, it could be a determining factor. All of these, you know, all of these things could be, you know, very critical. All right, so here we also want to talk about some impacts you think the COVID-19 pandemic, okay, of the last couple of years, what impact has this had, okay, on the food, restaurant, and agriculture industries in general? Okay, so think about this. Okay, I'm going to give you a few just to give you some ideas, but think about, you know, the way people act, okay, what people do, you know, lifestyles, how do we live? You know, I don't live the same life right now as I did a few years ago. A lot of people's lives have changed. Our habits have changed. Talk about businesses. How have businesses changed? Okay, so we definitely want to focus on the food, restaurant, and agriculture industries in general. Okay, now here we have, okay, so, you know, we have some pictures here. If you are part of the program, then you are watching the presentation, you know, in video format. If you're listening to the podcast, you know, on Apple iTunes or, you know, Spotify, wherever you're listening to it, then you can't see it, but I'll explain it to you. So in the first one, we have, you know, a farmer who's driving a tractor like a big car, like almost like a truck with big wheels, but it's of course not just to drive, it does work, you know, it kind of, he's working the field. Okay, maybe planting, maybe tilling, you know, doing some things there. So in number two, you know, we have a man who's spraying pesticide. So pesticide kills bugs and insects, as I mentioned before. Pesticide is a word. Okay, very good. And here we have the third one. Okay, a very nice you know, picture. Okay, we can see a lot of rows, right? Okay, a lot of rows of, you know, plants, a lot of plants here. Okay, these rows are very nice, and we have a lot of, and so that's how they plant in rows. They don't just throw seeds, you know, wherever. You need to organize them so you have it like one straight line of plants. Okay, so here are a few great sentences and some great vocabulary words related to farming and agriculture. So the harvest time for grapes in Italy is generally between August and October. So harvest, what does harvest mean? So harvest is when you get the product out of the land, right? So harvest, you plant it first and then you harvest it, meaning you can consume it, you can take it out. So in this case, grapes, you can get the grapes and you can finally eat them. Or in Italy, they're very famous for their wine. So you can actually make some wine with the grapes. Next one, at my favorite restaurant, you can build your own salad tailored to your individual preferences. Tailored comes from tailor, means custom made. Okay, tailor, meaning, you can decide exactly how you want your salad to be. You can build your own salad. So if you like cucumbers, we can put plenty of cucumbers in there. If you don't like cucumbers, no cucumbers. If you like carrots, tomatoes, we can put those in there. But if whatever you don't like, we'll leave it out. If you don't like spinach, no, don't worry. So it's tailored to you, means custom made exactly for you. Okay. Without pesticides, farm crops are more vulnerable to damage by insects. Vulnerable means they are in danger, right? So it means that they are open to being, in this case, maybe attacked or, maybe eaten or damaged by insects. It means it's dangerous. They are open to being damaged. They are vulnerable. People can also be vulnerable. If you're open, if you're like, you know what, I'm completely open, I'm very vulnerable. Okay, it's almost like being in danger. COVID-19 has exposed weaknesses in international pandemic response plans. Expose. When you expose something, you reveal it. You open it so everyone can see it. You expose. So right now, in this case, we know that there are a lot of weaknesses in our system. Okay, and the pandemic exposed that, meaning now we know what problems we have, what political problems some countries have, because the pandemic showed us, it exposed it. Okay, nutrients such as vitamins and minerals play a vital role in the health of our immune systems. Play a vital role is have an important role. They have an important part. They play an important part. Okay, meaning they are necessary. Good. Steve is in charge of feeding his uncle's farm animals every day. So to be in charge, what does it mean to be in charge? Means to do something. Okay, so kind of to be in charge means to be the boss, right? Or that's the job that he does. Okay, so that's his job. He is in charge of doing that. Okay, a recent hurricane has disrupted the supply chain in Puerto Rico this week. Okay, so a recent hurricane has disrupted the supply chain. The supply chain is basically how things, typically products, but maybe raw materials, get to different places. Okay, so for example, if you want to get food to America from South America, okay, so the supply chain is like, okay, so this food will go to this place, and then this place they will package it, okay, and then they will pack it, and then they will send it to another, center where they will then process it and then send it out to different stores. Okay, so it's the supply chain, how it gets from one place to another place. Okay, very good. Okay, so we have some very nice herbs. You can say herbs, okay, or herbs. We have basil. Okay, that's very, very famous in Italy, the basil. I love margherita pizza. The margherita pizza has basil, great herb. It has a great flavor for pastas, for pizza. We also have arugula. Some people say, yeah, I like to say arugula. That's the best one. Okay, so that is it's another one. It's a little bit bitter. Okay, that's a little bit bitter, but it's very healthy. And then we have kale. It's, kale, it's almost in the same family as lettuce. So it's like a leaf. It's very, very thick, also a little bit bitter. They say it's a superfood. Kale, K-A-L-E. And now we have all these kale shakes and juices and all these things that are so healthy, so good for you. And yeah, and so in the US, just in case you work with the US, all over the world, people use meters, right? It's the metric system, the international metric system. However, in the United States and Also in Britain, actually, that's where it came from. Originally, we use yards, right? We don't use a metric system. Now, I understand the metric system. A lot of people, especially in the scientific community and the engineering industry, they understand. If you say meters, they understand. But a lot of Americans, we say yards. Okay, so it's pretty much equal to 0.91 meters. Okay, so it's a little bigger than a meter. Pretty easy to remember. Okay, about 10%. So 10% bigger than a meter. Okay, and parameters are the variables which affect the outcome or result of something. The parameters. Okay, so variables, things that change. Okay, so for example, you have the parameters of, let's say, of a computer program. It means, okay, so what is, how does this work? Let's talk about for example, the CPU. Okay, the parameters. Okay, let's talk about how quick it is that you had the bits per minute and all these things. So it's the parameters. Okay, or if you want to build a computer, the parameters are, the speed, what kind of hardware, what kind of software. Okay, so parameters, the variables which affect the outcome or result of something. Okay, so we're going to definitely watch the YouTube video. Okay, it's great. It's great. It's very short. I'm going to send it to you in the video. In the email, I'll send you a link to the YouTube video so you can watch it. Okay. Now, in this, they're going to talk about produce. Produce is another word for fresh fruits and vegetables. So I want you to think, and you're going to tell your partner in class, how satisfied are you with the quality of the produce you get in your local supermarkets or food markets where you live? Okay, so talk about the quality of the produce. How good is it? And give details, like what do you buy? Okay, so this video will talk about vertical farming. Okay, it'll compare vertical farming with traditional farming. Okay, now you will see that in this video, in the YouTube video, they're talking about Sweden, and they have this high-tech vertical farming, center, and it works with artificial intelligence. You see, so they have all of these computers that measure data, they collect information, okay, data, and with computers, and it will tell you what kind of data it is. Okay, so for example, I'll give you some answers here just in case you don't have access to the YouTube video. They collect, for example, humidity. What's the humidity? What is the temperature? How fast are they growing? How healthy they are? So they have detectors and sensors, and they collect this data. Okay, some people say data too. That's okay. Okay, so all of these and they also are controlled. They also control all of these. So for example, if it's getting too cold, then they will adjust the temperature. Now, in this farming area, people, the workers, the scientists and the farmers, they need to wear specific clothes. Okay, so they have to wear protective gear. Why is that? Okay, when you watch the video, you'll see, I'll tell you a little bit right now. It's because they want to either protect themselves or protect the plants. Okay, so you figure out what makes more sense to you. What is the aim? Okay, what's the purpose of neighbor food? So not neighborhood, because neighborhood is where you live. Neighbor food program in Stockholm, Sweden. Okay, it's very, very interesting. It's a program in Sweden. It's called Neighbor Food. Okay, so I think you could probably figure that out. And now the last point in the video is about the COVID-19 pandemic and how it has affected the global food situation. Nobody's talking about this, but it's important to discuss it because some scientists have said, scholars have confirmed, and experts, have validated the fact that the global food situation is concerning, right? All right, perfect. So here people think that, this Sweet Greens, that's the name of the companies. Some people say that maybe they say that the food tastes better than the average supermarket. Okay, decide if it's true or false. Okay, now, are there vertical farms or vertical gardens? Are they located on top of an office building, or where are they located exactly? So here it says they're located on top of an office building for a local newspaper company. Maybe it's true, maybe it's fun. Then it's false. And then we have the startup company. So startup company, it's a small company. That's just like the word indicates, start up. Small, it's typically tech related. It's very kind of low budget. You have small group of people, they do everything. And it's a way for people to get going, to start their business with little capital. Okay. So these so we have startup companies can get a subscription for Sweetgreen's farming services. Okay, that could be an option. Okay, all right, very good. So here we have some expressions. Okay, to be in charge. Okay, so computers are in charge of the Sweetgreen's farm. Okay, now here you can eat the produce in this farm. You can eat the produce straight off the wall. Straight off the wall, meaning you can take the food and take it off the wall. I mean, just pick it out and eat it. You don't need to clean it. You don't need to disinfect it. Straight off the wall. Okay, and the light, water, and humidity and temperature are all tailored to the individual needs of the produce, meaning, for example, some fruits and vegetables need more water. So here in these vertical farms, you get to tailor the conditions to the need of the fruit and the vegetable. Absolutely fascinating. Very, sometimes I think technology is amazing. I really do like technology, and I think that a lot of our progress, the human's progress, is in large part due to technology. Of course, there are other factors, and a lot of the humanists say, well, it's due to kindness and empathy and just the human spirit and all these great things. And they're absolutely right. They're not incorrect. But, technology has also helped us achieve a better standard of living. All right. Okay, perfect. So, now here we have a little bit, the passive voice. Okay, so here you already basically use the verb to be. Okay, and so for example, vegetables in this type of farm taste better than the average supermarket salad, and they are already being sold in local stores and restaurants. They are already being sold. Okay, they are. Okay, that's the passive, not because the produce they don't sell, they don't do the action. They are sold, but you want to put the already, which is, of course, we talked about it last week, an adverb, already, and it is being because it's happening right now. So this produce, okay, these vegetables and these fruits are being sold. They are being sold in supermarkets. They are already being sold. Okay, so it's not futuristic, it's right now. Okay, so it's the present continuous and the passive voice. So here we have a lot of very good expressions. Okay, and so you can do the exercise here. Okay, so this is very good for you if you want to practice. Okay, if you want to practice this, I think it'll be good to do a little bit of grammar, the passive voice, okay, and the active voice. Okay, so just to review, so the active, okay, is, for example, an urban farm is building. Okay, it's is building something. It's building a room. Okay, a farm is building a garden. Okay, but then the garden, the passive voice is the garden is being built by an urban farm. You see? The urban farm, they do the action, so it's active. The urban farm builds or is building. The urban farm is building a garden. The garden is being built, okay, by the urban farm. All right, so that's just here. If you are part of, if you are my student, then you have all of the exercises and you can do that. Okay, so it's important to think about this because world hunger is a big issue. Okay, and a food crisis is a big issue. We talked about, you know, the water crisis a couple of weeks ago, very serious. So there's water crisis and food crisis, and all of these, if it's one crisis and many crises, so there are a lot of crises right now. Okay, that's the plural of crisis. And we need to combat world hunger. We need to fight it. Okay, now think of also disadvantages. So with everything, there are always advantages, but there are also disadvantages. So think about those and we will share them in class. Okay, we'll also talk about innovations and technologies in the food industry. And these innovations and technologies are changing the way we grow, make, deliver, package, or consume food. Talk about these technologies that are changing these technologies that are changing our food. All right. Now, also we want to talk about waste because in the US, you know, I'm very, very sorry to say, I'm very embarrassed to say that we waste a lot of food, about 40%, okay, of the food supply is wasted. That's unacceptable. I really don't think that's acceptable, you know, for an industrialized nation, actually for any nation, but especially for the United States, we need to do better. But what do you think of this? Okay, and why is food waste a problem? And what causes food waste? What solutions come to mind? Okay, so for example, one of them is in restaurants. Restaurants in America, they give you a lot of food, you know, big plates. People love big plates, but I don't like big plates. You know, I prefer, you know, maybe small plates would be better. And then if you want more, you can get more, but don't serve people a lot from the beginning. Okay, from the very beginning, you know, or you can, some people take food home. So I did that when I was there. I would go to a restaurant. I couldn't finish everything because the portions are huge. So I would eat half of it and then I'd ask the waiter for a box, you know, for a box. So then I would box it up. Sometimes they would box it up and I would take it home and eat it at home. And that is a good solution because we don't want to waste food. All right. And the last thing we're going to talk about is our genetically modified or engineered food. Okay. This is a big topic. You know, a lot of people have different opinions. Some people think it's awesome that we can engineer this food and we can make it better. We can, you know, really use science to change food and to make it better. Other people have the opposite opinion, you know, and they disagree because they prefer organic food. They don't like the idea of eating engineered, genetically modified food. Genetically modified means you modify, you change the genes. These people say that if you genetically modify the food, you know, you are genetically modifying the person. Now, I don't know if it's true. You know, I'm just an expert at teaching. I'm not an expert in science, you know, so it's hard. You know, don't listen to me for, you know, for science advice, but I can help you express yourself. You know, if you're a scientist, if you're interested in this, I can help you take English to the next level so that when you speak, people will be really impressed. They will love, you know, what you're saying, and you'll sound very professional, make a lot of money, you'll be very successful, and that's the goal. The goal is always to be the best that we can be. All right, guys, hope I didn't bore you with this long presentation. I will see you in class. Bring any questions that you might have. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.